Greetings, Neo-Swedenborgians. This is The Strange Story of Ahrinziman, page 275, note A. The author says, "This story came to me under peculiar circumstances. It is printed as told by Ahrinziman himself, but the names of the characters are purely fictitious and have no claim to historical accuracy. The accounts given by historians of the Persian history of that period are meager and often conflicting, although there is a general agreement as to the leading events. And as it may interest some readers to know who the actors in this true tale are, I give the real names." So this story of Ahrinziman is presented as a true story about a king of Persia. Same book. This is page 266, the bottom of the page. Ahrinziman says, "As I looked around me with delight, I saw my mother, the white angel of my childhood, coming towards me, and the next moment mother and son, so long parted, we clasped each other in fond embrace." Clasped each other in fond embrace. They have bodies. They can embrace. They can hug. He says, "At first I could not speak. My heart was too full for words. Then I asked where I was. 'Thou art in the third sphere, O my son. Thou hast passed into it from the second sphere below the earth, where thou didst work. Thou mightest have enjoyed the pleasures of the beautiful second sphere above long since, hadst thou desired it. But I was not there to greet you, and we thought it best to leave thee at thy labors till thou couldst come here to me." So, this book, The Story of Ahrinziman, presents a 7-layer above Earth and a 7-layer below Earth structure. So, there are earthbound spirits, and then there are the 7 layers of heaven, and then there are 7 layers down. I'm going to reference Francezzo now, because I want to point out that these stories are presented not as fantasy and not as fiction, but they are presented as true stories. Francezzo says, "I have written this story of my wanderings in the hope that amongst those who read it may be found some who think it worthwhile to inquire whether, after all, it may be, as it professes to be, a true story. There are others who have lost those who were very dear to him, but whose lives were not such as gave hope that they could be numbered with those whom the churches call the blessed dead who die in the Lord. Dear friends who have not died in the paths of goodness and truth, I ask these mourners to take hope and to believe that their beloved but erring friends may not be wholly lost, not utterly beyond hope. Yes, even though some may have perished by their own hands and under circumstances which would seem to preclude all hope. I would ask those on earth to think over all that I have said, and to ask themselves whether even yet their prayers and their sympathy may not be able to help and comfort those who need all the help and comfort that can be given them." So I want to point out very clearly, Francezzo says that suicides are not eternally in hell. Francezzo, this whole world they present, Ahrinziman and Francezzo both, you are not eternally damned to hell. And this is the same structure which is described by J. Hewitt Mackenzie. So J. Hewitt Mackenzie published a book in 1916 about the spirit spheres called Spirit Intercourse, and it has a map of the spirit spheres in miles, and by an extraordinary coincidence, when the published figures for the Van Allen belts. So let me say, J. Hewitt Mackenzie's spirit spheres encircle Earth. In and he published his map in 1916. In 1958, they discovered the Van Allen belts, which encircle Earth, and the published numbers for the dimensions of the Van Allen belts match the numbers printed 40 years earlier by J. Hewitt Mackenzie. And J. Hewitt Mackenzie's world matches this world that these writers describe, even though these are all separate writers. There's 5 separate writers, and there's a curious consistency, kind of an internal consistency within all these books. And so I am presenting this as if, as they say,
That's a good start.
it is a true story. I'm presenting it as a fact. The J. Hewitt Mackenzie spirit spheres, the spirit lands of Francezzo, are the Van Allen belts, and we move